Big Z Reviews. Matrix Resurrections is a very weird movie because so much of it felt like, especially in the beginning, it felt like Lana Wachowski did not want to do a sequel to The Matrix. But then the other big part of the movie is just an okay direct sequel to The Matrix. And it's just so weird, like those two parts of the film clash so heavily that I'm not sure what to make of it.
They taught you good, made you believe their world was all you deserved. But some part of you knew that was a lie. Some part of you remembered what was real.
It's so easy to forget how much noise the Matrix pumps into your head. Something else makes the same kind of noise. War.
So before I watched the new release, I watched the original trilogy. And I honestly, I haven't, it's been a while since I've seen them, but like I've seen the original Matrix a lot. I saw the two sequels. I think the second one I saw like 3 times, maybe 4, and the third one I probably saw 2 or 3 times at most. Because the third one is definitely I did not like, and I mean that. But whenever I wanted to come back to it, I would just watch the original Matrix, because I think that's the problem, is that it's such a perfect ending. You're just them flying off. It's like that's how do you do any sequels to that? Like I remember like back, I think in like high school, this thinking, talking to friends, like how when they heard there was going to be a sequel, like how you would even do a sequel to it. And there's just, I feel like that this movie lends itself to being a sequel more than the previous two. But I was like a teenage boy when I saw the movie originally. But I think like it was in the late 90s, so I've been in like middle school. And like the sequels came out when I would have been late high school, I think, or early college, something like that. And that was kind of my movie. I really loved it. And but it's funny watching it now, like on 4K Blu-ray. A lot of the stuff, especially the original, really holds up. Like it still looks amazing. The only thing that's funny, I don't know if it was the HDR or something weird with the 4K upconvert or what, but the one explosion, like after the big scene in the lobby, like amazing scene, but like there's a big explosion and the elevator door flies at the viewer. Like the elevator door looks so bad. I was watching it tumble and it's like, ooh boy, that did not look good. But also the other thing I noticed is funny. So many of the action scenes have this horrible electronic dance music. Like it feels so 90s. Like that's the one thing that doesn't really hold up now. But as a whole, the original is almost a perfect movie. And the sequel, Matrix Reloaded, it's not great, it's not good, but it had some awesome action scenes. It still had some, like the Smith fight scene. The beginning of it is actually pretty good. And you see, watching it, if you look at the ones, you see when the people that they don't, put a new face on, put his face on, and you see like extras, that look like him, but they were not him. Then you see where they added the face, and sometimes those added faces can look worse than just the people that look like Agent Smith. But like, there's some like the highway chase scene is amazing, and there's a lot of great stuff. Although the Carvigian, or how the hell his name is, like that whole stuff is, and honestly, it is so horny. Matrix Reloaded is just so goddamn horny, and I think it's to its own detriment, because like so much of the time is wasted with being horny that they don't introduce new characters for you to care about. And I think the biggest weakness is that is a second film in a trilogy, and I mean the film is already made and coming out. I don't know later that year or next year, so like you don't have anyone you care about new. You only have your core 3, Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus. Like those are the only people who care about. They add Will Smith's wife. That's so funny because he was originally supposed to be Neo, but like she's like another pilot, and there's other characters. But it's so weird too because like in their ship, the Nebuchadnezzar, they don't have any new people. Like the fun. It's so weird too that their original pilot died off screen. I guess like he was alive at the end of the Matrix, but I guess that his wound was deadly, and they brought some new guy in, and the only thing you really know about him, and is that when he meets his wife, he calls her by her pussy. Like that's the only thing you know about him, and he's fine as just a guy that's or like setting them up and everything, but like it would have been so much better if they had introduced more people, especially because in Revolutions, so much of the movie is about saving Zion. And I don't give a shit about Zion. I only care about Neo and Trinity and Morpheus. Like, I could care less if the whole human city of Zion is destroyed. So then when so much of the movie is about that, and so much of the CGI is in question, it's just a failure, I think. And then I always thought too, the ending to kill them off like that is just it's so shitty. And again, it was kind of pointless. But like, why would you kill them off? Why not just have them ride out into the sunset? Especially because if you're going to kill them off, I think the biggest fault of this film is that first, when they're flying the ship and they go beyond the cloud cover and it's a beautiful sky, beautiful scene. But then when you stop to think about it, I thought they were using humans for energy because they couldn't get the sunlight. Couldn't they just build a tall tower? but I guess that doesn't matter. Like the whole thing with humans being batteries, it's so stupid. It kind of created. It's so quick to get. That's like the original script had them be like humans were. They're like a server. They essentially all these human pods were a server that give them more brain power for all the AI. And I really like that because they're all in the Matrix, so they could use all of that collective brain power. It's so much more interesting, but it's not as easy to get as just holding up a battery. Like if they held up a giant server and be like, this is what it was like. What's that? Especially back then. But watching it again, I really think that what's the point of having her die when they crash and by all those like random pieces of futuristic rebar? Like I don't get the point of it. But so much of it is about like destiny, and so much of the story is about that. But then her destiny was just to die. It's weird. And then too, especially because it would have been such a more powerful scene if Neo with his weird wounded eyes was being helped along by Trinity, and like they could have been together, and like, everything could have still happened the same. Even they both could have died, but they could have died in each other's arms. And then the whole battle with the Smiths, with Dragon Ball Z Smiths, is just it didn't look very good. And I think the technology wasn't there. And it's funny that the more mundane, the more down-to-earth scenes in the first movie are so much better. But, what you going to do? And then now for this one, for Matrix Resurrections. Like, I didn't watch it right away, but I was worried about whether I was going to think about it. I heard so many bad things about it. But, honestly, I liked it. I liked the Matrix Resurrections. But the beginning part is so weird because they have this whole thing like they're in the Matrix, but like there's a game, The Matrix, and there's the Jonathan Groff is like it's supposed to be Smith, but that's stupid. I don't know why they did that, but he is like he's saying though WB Warner Brothers wants us to make a new sequel to The Matrix, and they literally come out and say it. Like this is they break the fourth wall so hard, and for Lena Wachowski, obviously they say that okay they're making a fourth Matrix, And I know we love you. We want you to be on it. But if you're not on it, we're going to take your contract away and we're going to make it ourselves. So if you want to make it, you have to make it. And it's like so much of that is just so, I don't know. It's like, it feels like a different movie too. And it's so awkward and heavy handed. But like, there's also some cool scenes, like the whole, the whole scene when he's taking the pills, like pills are all come, like it's really cool scenery and really, but it's, I don't know, it's just weird. But there's the whole thing that like Neo, he made this program that is with for Yahya Abdul-Mateen, like is like like Neo made a program for Morpheus, and that's cool. I understand it's him because like you say that, you know, that Morpheus survived in the real world, so he couldn't be in the movie because it's been a lot of time has passed. But like, I don't get why Jonathan Graff is here. You know, if it is truly Agent Smith, it would look like the previous Agent Smith. Like, I think that, and I feel like the robots, the AI, would not put him back if it actually is him, because how much they almost destroyed everything they built. So I think they would have a new program, but they make it seem like this is Agent Smith. I think it would be more interesting if maybe Keanu or Neo had this. He also made this version of him, and they put him in because they figured out that was a good. He needed that person there to keep him in the control, like, or something like that. And the one big new main actress is Jessica Henwick, and she is great in this. She finds his weird thing he made in the Matrix, like, and it's kind of cool the idea that humans could make real programs in the Matrix, and they could be in, and they get some cool stuff with that. But I think. And even weird stuff with how they meet with Carrie-Anne Moss, like he had a crush on her, but like there's some cool stuff here. But I think the biggest letdown, other than the whole Lena being forced to do something she doesn't want to do, is that the action looks just like every other action movie now. Like, that was the biggest letdown. Like, the action scenes aren't bad, but they use shaky cam. There's shaky cam in the Matrix. I mean, that when I saw shaky cam, it's not horrible shaky cam, but it is shaky cam. And also, too, obviously, you know, the actors, Keanu is older, and they wanted to do a lot of the wire work, and maybe he can't do it anymore. He's great with John Wick. But even John Wick, they have to tone some of the quickness of it. Like, some of the scenes are a little slower than they could be, I think, with a younger actor. But they, it's obviously, they zoom in close for a couple things, then they zoom out, and it's obviously a stunt double doing everything. And it doesn't look good. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's such a letdown for being a Matrix movie. Still, though, I'm not going to spoil too much, like, other than that, you know, that they are still in the Matrix, like a new version of it, though. But there's a lot of weird stuff with, like, how, like, they're powering it in the new version. Like, essentially, it is like a video game. Like, there's, like, a horde mode, and, like, and how they're, like, all the people are called bots. Like, they'd be kind of be taken over by programs. But, like, so I think that they're made to say because some crazy scenes towards the end where, like, they're not actually killing people. But I always thought, like in the original ones, when they're killing the cops, it's like, yeah, I know that they're going to be taken over by the agents, and they need to kill them, but they still are killing people. Like, the people in their pods that were the cops are dying. But so I think that this is how they kind of got around that. And it was fine. And yeah, some of the CGI is a little iffy. Like, I like this in the new human city, and it's some of the CGI for, like, the other robots that are now aligned with humans is a little iffy, and some of the stuff with the new Morpheus when he's in, like, the pellet form is goofy, but it's okay. It's just there's some cool stuff too. It's like, I don't hate it. I liked it. But it's just, I think it's so weird, and I feel it's also I know it's a $190 million movie. I assume Lena like got a lot of money from it, but I feel like she was kind of forced to do it. Like and like she, part of her wanted to make a good movie and she really tried, but then part of her didn't want to make it and maybe self-sabotaged it. Like, and this is so, I love to see more like a whole documentary on the making of it. I feel like there's so much here that we don't know. But I would recommend it though, but like especially if you have HBO Max. You know, I don't know if I'd recommend going to theaters, but it's definitely worth watching HBO Max. I'd probably give it like a 6.7, a 7 out of 10, I'd say. 6.75 out of 10. It's very interesting, but very odd. But thanks for watching. If you want to see more of me, you can subscribe down below. Thanks.